Gentlemen, thank you for joining us. I want to talk about the Milk Cup final and the build-up and the day itself. I'm going to start, Rosie, I'm going to start with you because the semi-final was kind of as good as it got, wasn't it?
Oh, the semi-final was crazy. It was knowing that we were so close. It was quite intense in the changing rooms because the first leg at Villa Park, I think got shifted back a couple of times, didn't it, because of the weather and the pitch and stuff. So by the time it's been on YouTube and Facebook and everything recently, the first leg, and we were definitely up for that game. Straight from the kickoff. There were some tackles being chucked in, I think, through the expertise of Mr. Shotton in the change room, saying, if you don't make a tackle, I'm going to beat you up. Something like that. I can't remember the team talk.
Sound like you, Mal.
That's all you needed.
That was the usual thing, Malcolm, wasn't it? Is it?
Yeah.
Put your foot in. When we haven't got the ball, work hard, and when you have got the ball, just do your bit.
Absolutely, that's one thing we did have was work rate and commitment in the side. But we had also the other side of it was flair and people who could put the ball in the back of the net.
It was a good day. Good day. I keep watching it, and my favourite part of the game was when we won a free kick. I think, Villa won a free kick second half, and we were looking to kill the time off, and Les picked up the ball when they were trying to spot the ball for the free kick, and Les just picked it up and threw it back over our wall towards our goal. Nowadays, it would have been a straight yellow, if not a red.
Yeah.
Better than I did.
Yeah, absolutely.
How's he not aged, the man who's just joined? How come that's still the same?
Judgy.
Yeah. Hello, Alan. How are you? Oh, he's connected to the audio. We're all quite pleased with that, aren't we?
Judgy, can you hear us? Judgy, how many in the wall, son?
Les, I'll ask you then. After the while Alan's trying to connect, after the semi-final, we were struggling in the league, seriously struggling in the league. How difficult was it to concentrate on league games, knowing there's a Wembley final coming up?
Well, personally, I think it helped us, really. You know you've got that big day coming. And still fighting for places in the team as well. You know, you cut the bag against you, be out of the team. So I think it helped us, really. The results probably didn't reflect that, but as you know, after the final, we got enough points in the remaining games. So I think it was a boost, a big boost.
Alan, can you hear us now, Alan? Ruining it for everybody, isn't he? The build-up then, I'll ask you, Shots, as the captain. The build-up to the League Cup final then was a bigger deal than it is now. You know, it was
a major
not quite the FA Cup final, but it was a big deal, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't the money which is now in the Premier League, and there wasn't the European Champions League and all this. So the League Cup was just under the FA Cup. So to win a League Cup was massive, you know, for any club, and we were very, very fortunate to have a real crack at it and come away with a fantastic performance.
Judgy, can you hear us now? Alan? Judgy, can you hear us? Hear us? No. Well, speak then. Speak. No, he's not going to speak, is he? It's much the better. We can all say we prefer Steve Hardwick now, can't we?
He lives just up the road from me, Steve.
Oh yeah, he does, doesn't he? That's right. Right, so come on to the night before the Milk Cup final, while Alan tries to sort his audio out. Disappeared. I'll ask, all three of you, did you sleep the night before the final?
Well, personally,
yeah.
I wasn't involved because obviously I got injured on the 29th of March at 13 minutes past 3 against QPR. So I filled in so many forms. I know exactly when I got injured before the final. I don't know if people know the story that Maurice Evans obviously took everybody up on the Saturday to have a bit of a training session, wasn't it, Malcolm? I think, and then sort of be around the stadium and stuff, and then to play on the Sunday. But the ones that were injured and left out, he didn't take on the trip, which was just astonishing, really. So, I think Steve Harbutt, myself, Mark Jones, Brian McDermott, a couple of others, Tony Obi, and we weren't involved at all. When he told us, I did actually pick up a chair and throw it at Morris and called him up, which is unusual for me and unusual for Morris because he ducked and it missed him. And we were just absolutely fuming. But in hindsight, he should have taken us just to be there for the day because some of us had an input in the actual run up to Wembley. However, we were put on the wives' bus on the Sunday. So I was very excited to be on the wives and the like a supporters coach on the Sunday. Not. So I didn't sleep very well either.
But for the rest of you, that's difficult because you're such a close group. That's difficult when you know your mates are having a hard time, isn't it?
Yeah. Hello, somebody's just gone. Everybody's gone. Aha! Who's this? Now then. Judgy.
Can still hear you, Malcolm.
Yeah, I've just seen a picture of Judgy. Everything else went blank.
Is that an improvement?
That is. From our point of view, the players, it was a squad game, and we all felt Morris was a little bit wrong and not involving the whole squad instead of just taking the boys what were going to be involved on the day. As Rosie said, it's everybody had an input into to getting there. But I mean, sleeping wise, it was you went to bed, it was on your mind. You might have tossed and turned a little bit, but I think everybody got a reasonably good night's sleep, and it was quite a relaxed affair as well. The travelling down, training, everything what we tried to do was quite a relaxed affair.
Did you stay in Beaconsfield the night before? Was that right?
Yes, I think it was Beaconsfield. Yeah.
Judgy, can you hear us now?
Yeah. Sorry about the delay.
Hey.
Talking to Beaconsfield, the reason why we went there was because there was a training pitch just the other side of the motorway from the hotel, and we trained there. Did a little bit of work in the morning, and wasn't the best surface, but we got a little bit of work done before we actually went to the stadium.
Rosie, you mentioned you knew you weren't playing. Did you know the starting 11 well in advance, or was it a case of get to Wembley and then see it was being missed out?
No, I think we knew because we were fairly consistent before that. I think the week before we, I don't know, there was a few games that I watched, and because obviously McCarthy's had gone, so I think the boys were playing well enough before then to know. Obviously, Brocky was playing left side. I think it was fairly settled. I think was it Les? I think the team was fairly settled.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, we all seem to know that if we were playing or not, and I think it was pretty. Game before that was like setting the pattern to what team we'd be playing. Yeah, it was no surprise to us.
Was the other semi-final QPR against Liverpool? Was that Mike Robinson? Was that semi-final?
Sorry, Chris, can you say that again? I missed that.
Was the other semi-final, was that Liverpool against QPR? Was that the other semi-final?
Yeah.
Yes, I think it was, yeah.
Yes, it was.
Our task would have been a bit more difficult if Liverpool had got there, wouldn't it?
It'd only been 2-0.
Talk me through, anybody, open house, only anybody answer this. What was the morning of the build-up? What did you do in the build-up to the game? So you're in Beaconsfield, and then what happens?
I'll be honest, Chris, I ain't got a code.
Oh, I can't remember.
I'm with Les there.
I can't remember.
The only thing I can remember before the game was I was on the pitch with Malcolm, and we were going to be interviewed before the game, and we seemed to be sat there, stood there for ages, waiting for us to come on, and I was going. Who won the boxing last night? Switched over and we were on. So the first sight of me on TV that day was me asking about the boxing the previous night. Other than that, I can't remember a thing about the game beforehand.
So what's your first memory, Al, then? Walking out of the tunnel onto the pitch, what's your first memory of it?
Well, they say that the first time you go to Wembley, you don't remember too much. And in terms of my recollection of the game, I had very little recollection of the actual game, partly because everybody in front of me did such a good job that I actually didn't end up doing very much. I must say that the midfield on that day were absolutely awesome. Les, Brocky, Houghton, obviously Trevor. I had not too much to do. I remember getting a bollocking from Malcolm. I wasn't on the edge of my box early. So other than that, seeing a fantastic performance from the lads and getting bollocked by Malcolm, I don't think I've got too many other recollections of the actual game, other than to just admire the work that the lads in front of me were doing. They were just fantastic on the day. Fantastic.
There are a couple of early challenges, should we say, Malcolm, that a few early challenges, just to let people know you were there.
It was a game where there was no second chance at it. You know, it was one of those where you went into to put your marker down as a centre-half, as a goalkeeper, as a midfield player, as a striker, whatever it was. We went there to do a job. And, I think we all knew each other's game very, very well, and we all wound each other up to a point where it was, the excitement was put on the back burner, but the professionalism of the players was fantastic. Everyone. I think the one thing what stands out for me to just what judges were saying, I can't think about the game or can't remember much about the game. Steve Perryman pulled me to one side and said, "Whatever you do, remember the game, because it will pass you by so quickly and you'll forget it." And that stuck in my mind, and it still sticks in my mind now. To whatever it is, remember it and take it on board. And I remember a lot of things in the game where I probably would have forgotten about, especially now, 34 years later. There's a lot of things what stick in my mind, and it was a fantastic experience.
Les, for me, it was fairly even, wasn't it, from my memory, until Trevor scored the openers. Wasn't that much in it until that moment, was there?
Before I answer that, Chris, what Steve Perryman said to Malcolm Shotton, Big Billy said to me exactly the same thing.
Brilliant.
Just remember to get a pass you by and just try and take everything in. I'll say the first thing I remember about that day was walking out.
Absolutely.
That's all I can remember. But Billy pulled me aside and said about it. He said, "You just got to remember everything about the game." And as Malcolm says, I took it on board and tried to, and like I say, you don't remember everything, but I do remember quite a lot about it.
Any danger we would get overawed by the occasion?
Not a chance.
No, I don't think that was.
Like I say, with Malcolm in the training before the game, he wouldn't let you do that in any game.
The QPR side is a good side. John Byrne up front, Gary Bannister, people like that. Did they, when we did the 2010 game, me and Rosie were at Wembley, seeing that York looked scared, was there any sort of sign that QPR weren't up for the fight?
No, I think they were up for the fight. It was just that we were better on the day and more organised, better equipped for the challenge, and probably took on the game in a better mental state than they did as well. But we weren't going to come away with a silver medal.
Chris, look, lads, looking up from where I was up to the left side of the box where all the royalty were, which was, and I'd had a few, to be fair, before the game. And as soon as the boys come out of the tunnel, you lot come out of the tunnel and did your shaking hands and everything else. And I looked at the warm-up, because you look at the warm-up and you look at everybody else out there. And I said, I was sat with my old man, and I just said, yeah, I think, looking at the boys now, I said, we're relaxed. Looks like we're up for it. We've got to start well. And I think Terry Fennick and a few of the boys chucked in a few tackles. Brocky picked himself up and got on with it. And you and Briggsy had smashed a couple. But, oh, no, that was in the warm-up, sorry. And you could tell that we started off well and we weren't in awe of it, or you guys weren't in awe of it. But I did say we needed a goal just to take the edge off of it, just in case. And Trevor's goal was just perfect timing.
Yeah, absolutely. The goals were from our point of view, came at a crucial time. All goals do, obviously, but they did come at a crucial time. And when, as the game progressed and we go 3-0 up, it was literally, go and enjoy the rest of the time. It was one of those scenarios because we knew we'd won. We knew they wouldn't get anywhere near our goal.
Was that the feeling at half time?
I think was a massive plus going 1-0 early, as we did, and then we couldn't see them getting back into the game. If we did our jobs, which everybody did to a man, we couldn't see them getting back into it.
Did Judge get out of his deck chair second half?
Just actually going back to something Malcolm said earlier, and he said about our understanding what our roles were and going into the game. I remember in the meeting the night before the game, we all sat down and Morris said to each player individually, what can you bring to the team? What do you think your roles are tomorrow? And obviously me being number one, he came to me first, and I was a little bit shocked. I thought, oh, crikey, I've got to say in front of everybody what I'm going to be able to bring to the team tomorrow and what my responsibilities were. And I think that helped clarify things actually before the game. Every player, he went through every player, and we all said what we thought we needed to do to win the game the following day. I don't know if you remember this, guys, but Morris, psychologically, we went into the game in quite a positive frame of mind. I think Morris deserves a lot of credit before the game, because I think before the game, we all had a very clear idea of what we needed to do in that game. And I'm not quite sure that could be said for Queen's Park Rangers. We seem to be going into it in a much more positive frame of mind than they did. I remember speaking to Barron after the game, and he just said we just didn't seem like we were ready for it. Okay, you were so good, we just didn't see him, and he wasn't pleased with his own performance. But I just think we went into the game just in a much better frame of mind, a much more positive frame of mind.
I've always wondered if that Liverpool game was part of that as well, because they'd beaten mighty Liverpool, and now it was only Little Oxford that they're playing. I wonder whether that was in their minds.
That's a good point, because you look at Tottenham last year. They play some massive games, beat some big teams, go into a cup final. It's all a little bit of an anticlimax for them in the end. And to some extent, I think that might have been the case with Queen's Park Rangers. They've just beaten Liverpool, and as you say, Chris, little old Oxford. But at the end of the day, you look through the team and you go through all the players, and we were more than a match, if not a better match, for anything they had on the day, really. I think their sort of cup final in some respects might have been their semi-final win against Liverpool, not realising that they had a job to do at Wembley, which we were, as I said, better prepared for than they were on the day.
The second goal of the game's Ray Houghton, isn't it? And he was the only one who hadn't played for Jim. Basically, was that my memory is not quite right?
I think that's right.
Yeah, I think that is right.
You proved yourself because you're a good player in Ray Houghton's case, but coming into such a close group as you lot can't have been very easy for him.
I think the group was such a close group, and anybody coming into that was automatically become part of the group, if you see what I mean. And like I said about when Mick Vinter died a few weeks ago, he was part of the jigsaw, and Ray was a massive part of that jigsaw as well. So not only in the league, but obviously the Milk Cup final as well.
But he came in now, Malcolm, didn't he? When people came into the squad, they fitted in. I know we've talked about DNA before, but he fitted in what we did and how we did it. And he wasn't a big time Charlie. He worked hard. He was quality, obviously. But whoever came in were quickly moulded into what we did and how we did it, I think.
Yeah, I think the code of the dressing room was such that if somebody stepped out of line, then they would know about it in one way or another, verbally or physically or both.
I've always wanted to ask you guys.
That was Saturday nights as well.
I've always wanted to ask you guys, because I was in the stand and I didn't think we were going to win it until we got the third goal. Well, at what point did you think, okay, we've got this? Was it the third goal, or did you think, were you comfortable before that?
Well, personally, after we scored the first goal and the way we were playing, and you could just see, we put a lot of groundwork in that first half hour. Like Mel said, the tackles, the work rate, they couldn't settle on the ball. And as Mel said, I don't think they played bad, we just didn't let them play. And so when we come out second half and we just carried on how we finished the first half, I was quite comfortable then. I was not overconfident, but I was confident that we keep playing the way we are, the way we're working, there's only going to be one result.
Judgy, when were you thinking we've won this?
I thought we'd won it. I'm sorry, I'm a bit of a skeptic, and it's not until the final whistle is blown. I was actually interviewed papers before the game, and they asked me for a prediction, and I said 2-0. But you know, as time goes on, I mean, you think, right, okay, 10 minutes to go, they're not going to score 3 goals in 10 minutes, but you know, it's such an important game.
We did have you in goal, now you never know. You know, if you know, even with 10 minutes to go, if they score a goal, suddenly, you know, exactly. Yeah, but I mean, you know, if the team scores a goal 10 minutes from time, suddenly the tails are up, and who knows, you might get a couple of late goals. But and not until that final whistle is blown did I ever think that that's it, job done. Yeah, you know, from a performance point of view, we were great. We went. I personally went into. I look at the change. I sat before the game, looking around the change room at the players we had, and I went into the game confident, and that confidence pretty much stayed with me throughout the game. But there's always that. There's a goalkeeper. There's always that little niggling doubt in the back of your mind. What if they score a goal? Tails are up, you know, and you've seen it. You know, teams suddenly get a couple of late goals, and well, you know, I was, you know, at the end of the day, if you think you've won it with 10 minutes to go, your concentration levels drop. Suddenly, you know, it's, you know, you come away from the game. You know, I'd much rather come away from the game 3-0 as a goalkeeper than 3-2. But yeah, it wasn't until the final whistle was blown for me that I could sit back and say, "Good job done." And then going up to get the cup, Malcolm, what was going through your head? The final whistle blows. Did the penny suddenly click? Oh, I've got to go up those big steps now.
Absolutely, it's just elation. When the final whistle went, you think, "Wow, we've won the cup." And as a kid, from being 5 or 6 and kicking the ball around, and that's all you want in your mind is to go up and, you know, walk up the steps of Wembley and lift a trophy, and that was phenomenal feeling. It really was an absolute phenomenal feeling. One I've never had before, and never had. Well, obviously, I mean, seeing my lad born was better than that. But you know, that's as good as it gets. It really is.
Did anyone catch Jim's eye? Did he have words for you, or?
I think he spoke to most of the players. I would think he spoke to most of the players. He was very genuine with his feelings for the lads, because obviously he'd moulded the club into where we were then. He was fantastic. I mean, he wished us all the best, and you know, congratulated everybody, and he was brilliant. I mean, he was straight into our dressing room after the game, and I'm sure the other 2 boys will say the same.
You then, Mr. Fish was a big influence as well, going up to fetch the guy. It's a really nice touch by Morris to send Mr. Fish up. It's still Mr. Fish to you guys, never Ken, was he?
No.
What happened after? So we've all seen the pictures. We've all seen you lift the cup. We've all seen the dancing around with the horny hat on the pitch. What happened after Wembley?
Well, from my point of view, I actually got in touch with all my friends and family soon after the game, and they all went back to my house, all my friends and family, and they watched the game again on TV. And when I phoned them up later, they were all having a party, having a good time. And I remember sitting down and listening to a load of speeches and things after the game, and wishing I was back at home with my mates celebrating what was a fantastic win. So anyway, we still had a pretty good evening, and my recollection was actually that the Milk Cup came back with us on the coach, and this is something that a lot of people won't know, but I actually woke up the next morning in bed with the Milk Cup final trophy next to me, and I didn't know how the hell it got there. Nobody seemed to care what happened to it. I just remember waking up the next morning in bed next to the Milk Cup trophy. So that's my recollection after the game. I don't know how it got there, but that's how I remember that.
But Judgy, that could be an interesting one, because I thought I woke up with it the next morning.
I'm sure I did as well.
Judgy, and you weren't in my bed, son. That was another night. Okay, we begged to differ on that one. I remember sat with Brocky in the morning, because I ended up, no idea what happened. I ended up going home because we went back to the Bell, didn't we, in Beaconsfield?
We went back to was it the hotel?
Yeah, went back to Beaconsfield for something to eat and drink and a couple of shandies.
Yeah.
And I ended up going home in Brian McDermott's suit, and he had my suit on. I had no idea, honestly. And yeah, we ended up having a few beers. Bit messy with the open top bus the following week, whatever it was. Yeah, it must have been a different night than Judgy, because you probably took it home that night, and I took it home, I think, the night before the open top bus thing, because I woke up in bed at Brocky's house with the trophy, without the wife. She was on the floor, but the trophy was in bed. We had the trophy on the breakfast table with Brocky's cat in the trophy, and took pictures and stuff. And I have no idea, but anyway, it was. We returned. Jim Hunt apparently had a bit of a heart attack in the morning. Nearly couldn't find the trophy, so I think they rung Judgy first, because he was prime culprit. But I was being called very close to that, because I think I was a little bit mischievous in those days.
No, nothing's changed. Guys, we've got literally 90 seconds left before this thing runs out on us. It's like the old phones putting your 10p's in and stuff. The 1986 Milk Cup final, other than the birth of your children, best day of your lives?
I would think so, definitely.
Yeah, that goes for me as well. Yeah, fantastic day.
100%.
Rosie?
I would say most memorable moment in my football career was the final whistle in the semi-final second leg against Villa. Then I was going to have my dream come true that I was going to play at Wembley. So obviously not, but most memorable was the final whistle for the semi-final for me. So, but I was so pleased that the boys had won the final, mate. What a great day.